The Carrion Nebula was a graveyard of stars, gas clouds twisted in purple and red, lit by the dying light of ancient suns. No one came here. No one wanted to. But the Vaxil Mining Corporation needed rare minerals, and this dead place had them. Commander Thelvan stood on the bridge of the mining ship watching his screens. His skin was blue-gray, smooth like polished stone. His 4 eyes blinked in sequence as he studied the readings. Something big floated ahead, hidden in the gas clouds. "What is that?" he asked his crew. The scanner technician, a younger Vaxil named Koreth, worked his console with quick fingers. "Unknown, Commander. The shape is strange, very large, maybe 1,500 meters long." "A derelict?" Thelvan leaned forward. Derelicts meant salvage. Salvage meant profit. Possibly. The metal is old. Very old. I'm reading. "Commander, some of these materials haven't been used in 800 years. Thelvan felt excitement rush through him. 800 years. That meant pre-concordate technology. That meant something from the wild days before the galaxy became civilized and peaceful. "Move us closer, carefully." The mining ship drifted through the nebula. The gas cleared, and they saw it. The vessel looked wrong. Where Vaxil ships were smooth and elegant, this thing was brutal. Thick armor plates covered every surface. Weapons turrets jutted out like spikes. Burn marks and impact craters scarred the hull. It looked like something built for one purpose only: war. "By the ancestors," Koreth whispered. "What kind of species build something like that?" Thelvan moved closer to the main screen. Strange symbols ran along the hull in white paint, faded but still readable. His computer translated them slowly. UNSF. Righteous Fury. The cultural historian on the crew, an old Vaxil named Shendar, gasped. "Commander, those symbols, that's human writing." Everyone on the bridge went silent. Humans, the extinct species, the ones the history files warned about, the ones who had disappeared nearly a millennium ago, taking their violent ways with them. "Humans are gone," Thelvan said, but his voice was uncertain. "Dead for 8 centuries. Yes, Shendar agreed. "But this is their ship. A warship by the look of it." "Commander, I recommend we do not board. Human military vessels were known to have dangerous defense systems." Thelvan laughed. "Defense? Systems that haven't had power for 800 years? No, we're boarding. This technology could be worth millions. Billions." He ordered his crew to prepare. 20 Vaxil put on environment suits and grabbed cutting tools. They crossed the empty space between ships, magnetic boots pulling them toward the human vessel's hull. They found an airlock, ancient and sealed. It took an hour to cut through. The door finally opened with a hiss of escaping air. Stale atmosphere, centuries old, rushed out into space. The Vaxil entered carefully, turning on lights mounted to their suits. Inside was darkness. Their lights cut through it, showing corridors made of bare metal. No decoration, no art, just function. Everything looked built to last, built to take damage. Cables ran along the ceiling in thick bundles. The walls had dents and scratches. They moved deeper. More Vaxil came aboard, spreading through the ship. Teams reported finding living quarters tiny and cramped. Kitchens with strange equipment. Armories filled with weapons that looked excessive and brutal. Then they found the bay. It was massive, taking up the ship's entire center section. Rows and rows of pods filled the space, each one large enough to hold a body. Red emergency lights cast everything in bloody illumination. The pods had windows. Through them, the Vaxil could see faces. Human faces. Thousands of them. All dead. The bodies were preserved by the cold of space and the failed cryosystems. They looked peaceful, like they were sleeping, but frost covered their skin, and their eyes were closed forever. "A colony ship?" one of the Vaxil suggested. "No," Shendar said quietly, examining the pods. "Look at their clothing. Military uniforms. All of them. This wasn't a colony ship. This was a warship with a full crew. They were going somewhere, fighting something. The walls of the bay had names carved into them. Thousands and thousands of names, etched by hand into the metal, each one a memorial. Thelvan felt uncomfortable. This wasn't just a derelict. It was a tomb. But the technology here could change everything for his corporation. He pushed the feeling away. Keep searching, find the bridge, find the computers, we need data. A team moved toward the front of the ship, following signs in human language. They reached a sealed door marked with warnings in multiple scripts. The computer translated, "Bridge, authorized personnel only." They started cutting through the door. That's when the lights came on. Red emergency lighting throughout the entire ship suddenly blazed to life. Alarm sounds echoed through the corridors, a harsh wailing that made the Vaxil cover their ear slits. Consoles that had been dark for centuries flickered on. Screens glowed. Then a voice spoke. It came from everywhere at once, cold and mechanical, speaking in perfect Vaxil language. Unknown life forms detected. This vessel is UNSF property. You are in violation of military law. Identifying. Species unknown. Threat assessment. In progress. Thelvan's blood went cold. What is that? Shendar grabbed his arm. The ship's artificial intelligence. Commander, we need to leave. Now. But it was too late. Throughout the ship, bulkheads began to slam shut, cutting off sections. The Vaxil screamed into their communicators, confused and scared. Deep in the ship's core, in a hidden chamber surrounded by armor, a single cryopod began its revival sequence. Chemicals pumped. Temperature rose. Inside, a woman's eyes opened for the first time in 847 years. Captain Sarah Chen was waking up. And she was not happy. The first thing Sarah felt was cold. Deep, bone-deep cold that made her body ache. Then came pain, sharp and electric as her nerves woke up. Then nausea. She gasped and her lungs burned as they remembered how to breathe. The cryopod's lid hissed open. Red light flooded in. Alarm screamed. Sarah tried to sit up and almost fell. Her muscles were weak, unresponsive. How long had she been under? It felt like dying and being born again at the same time. Captain Chen, a voice said. Calm, familiar. Guardian. Please remain still. Your body needs time to adjust. Status, Sarah croaked. Her throat was dry as sand. Report. Multiple contacts aboard ship. 112 unknown life forms. They have breached security in sections 3, 7, and 9. They are attempting to access the weapons vault. Guardian paused. Captain, I must inform you of the time displacement. You have been in cryosleep for 847 years, 2 months and 16 days. Sarah's mind went blank. 800 years? No, that couldn't be right. They were supposed to sleep for 6 months. 6 months while the colony ships got away. 6 months and then... My crew, she said. Wake my crew. The silence that followed told her everything. Captain Chen, Guardian said gently. And the AI had never sounded gentle before. I regret to inform you that all other cryopods experienced catastrophic failure, approximately 300 years into the mission. The main power core was damaged in our last engagement. I diverted all remaining power to your pod. I could not save the others. Sarah felt something break inside her. She thought of her crew. Jenkins, who told terrible jokes. Rodriguez, who sang opera while working. Kim, who had a baby daughter waiting on one of the colony ships. All of them, all dead. For 800 years they'd been dead and she'd been asleep, dreaming of seeing them again. How? She whispered. We held the line, Guardian said. The colony ships escaped. Our battle group engaged the enemy fleet and inflicted severe casualties. We were the only survivor. We drifted here into the nebula and I entered minimal power mode to preserve your pod. Sarah forced herself to stand. Her legs shook, but she stayed up. She was wearing the same combat suit she'd put on before the battle. It felt like yesterday. It was 8 centuries ago. Show me, she said. Screens around the cryo chamber flickered on. Guardian showed her the current situation. The aliens on her ship were called Vaxil. They were salvagers stripping technology. They'd broken into her crew's quarters. They'd taken weapons. They'd walked past the cryo bay, past her dead crew like they were just interesting artifacts. Sarah felt anger, cold and sharp. Replace the grief. What happened after we fought? She asked. Where's Earth? Where's the fleet? Guardian was quiet for a moment. Captain, I have monitored radio signals for 800 years. Earth does not transmit. The Sol system is marked as a quarantine zone in current galactic navigation charts. No explanation is given. The colony ships. I have found no trace of them. Sarah leaned against the pod, processing. Earth was gone. The colonies were missing. Her crew was dead, and aliens were looting her ship like it was a museum piece. Have they harmed anything critical? She asked. Negative. They lack the understanding to access key systems. However, they are attempting to cut into the bridge. They will succeed in approximately 47 minutes. Sarah walked to a locker and opened it. Inside was her gear, weapons, ammunition, medical supplies, all preserved perfectly by the ship's environmental controls. She started putting on armor plating over her combat suit. Each piece clicked into place with satisfying precision. Guardian, what are these Vaxil? Military? Negative, Captain. Analysis of their equipment suggests civilian salvage operations. The galaxy has changed. The Vaxil Concordat rules this region. They are peaceful, having not fought a major war in 300 years. Sarah checked her rifle. It was an older model designed for ship combat. Armor-piercing rounds because in human doctrine, you didn't bring stun weapons to a gunfight. 300 years of peace. That's nice for them. Captain, they do not appear to understand they are in danger. Their weapons are designed for non-lethal engagement. Sarah walked toward the door of the cryo chamber. Her body was getting stronger with each step. The combat enhancement drugs in her system were kicking in, making her faster and sharper. They broke into a human warship. They walked past my crew. They're trying to steal from us. Technically, Captain, by current galactic law, this vessel is considered abandoned salvage. We have been classified as extinct. Sarah stopped at the door and looked back at the pod that had kept her alive. Around the chamber on the walls were pictures. Her crew had put them there before the battle. Families, friends, pets, people waiting for them to come home. Guardian, she said quietly, we made a promise. We said we'd buy time for the colonies. We said we'd protect our people. Yes, Captain. These aliens are on our ship. They're stealing our technology. They think we're dead and forgotten. Sarah's voice hardened. I think it's time to remind the galaxy that human warships don't die quietly. Full combat protocols. Activate all defensive systems. Captain, that will be lethal. I know. They are civilians. They're looters on a military vessel during wartime. And Guardian? We're still at war. We just don't know with who yet. Guardian was silent for 3 seconds. In AI terms, that was an eternity. Understood, Captain. Initiating combat protocols. Welcome back to duty. Sarah chambered around in her rifle and started walking. The corridors of the righteous fury were her home. She'd walked them 1,000 times. She knew every corner, every shortcut, every defensive position. The ship had been built for one thing, to be a nightmare for anyone who didn't belong. She accessed the ship's internal sensors through her neural implant. She could see where every Vaxil was. They were scattered looking for treasures. They had no idea what was coming. Guardian, seal Section 7. Cut life support to Section 9. And in Section 3, where they're trying to open the weapons vault, I want you to open it. Captain? Sarah smiled, and it wasn't a nice smile. Let's show them what a human weapons vault really is. And Guardian? Start recording. If any of them survive, I want them to take a message back to whoever's in charge now. Message, Captain? Tell them humanity isn't extinct. Tell them we're just getting started. The lights in the corridor ahead went from red to white. Combat lighting! The righteous fury was fully awake now, and it was done being polite. The first team to die didn't even see it coming. They were in Section 9, cutting through a bulkhead to reach what their scanners said was a computer core. The atmosphere vented in 2 seconds. The section opened directly to space, and 12 Vaxil were sucked out into the void. Commander Thelvan heard their screams cut off on the radio. What happened? Team 3, report. Silence. All teams return to the airlock immediately, he ordered. We're leaving, but the doors wouldn't open. Every bulkhead had sealed. Every door was locked. The Vaxil tried their cutting tools, but the metal was too thick, and the doors kept closing faster than they could cut. Commander, Korath said, his voice shaking. The ship AI. It's doing this. It's hunting us. Then the voice came again, that cold mechanical voice, but this time speaking directly through their suit radios. You have violated UNSF military property. You have disturbed a war grave. Under military law, you are classified as hostile combatants. Surrender is not possible. May your ancestors forgive what mine will not. In Section 3, 5 Vaxil were trying to access the weapons vault when the door suddenly opened on its own. They cheered, thinking they'd succeeded. Inside the vault, lights activated showing rows of human weapons. The weapons activated too, automated turrets deployed from the ceiling. They identified targets in milliseconds. The Vaxil didn't use military-grade armor. Why would they? They were salvagers in a peaceful galaxy. The turrets fired. It was over in 3 seconds. Guardian sealed the vault again and reported to Sarah. Section 3 is clear, Captain. Sarah was moving through Deck 4, heading toward the largest group of Vaxil. They'd gathered in the crew quarters trying to regroup. She could hear them through the walls, talking frantically in their language. Guardian translated in her ear. "It's killing everyone," one said. "We need to fight back," another insisted. "With what? Our tools? Against military weapons?" Sarah reached the door to the crew quarters. She stood outside, checking her rifle. Inside were 23 Vaxil. They had some weapons, small plasma cutters repurposed as guns. They weren't soldiers. She could tell by how they moved, how they talked. They were scared. For a moment, Sarah hesitated. These weren't enemies. They were civilians who made a mistake. They didn't know what they were walking into, but then she thought of her crew. She thought of Jenkins, who used to keep a picture of his husband in his pocket. She thought of Rodriguez, who sang while they were dying. She thought of 800 years of her people being forgotten. She opened the door. The Vaxil spun toward her, raising their makeshift weapons. They saw a human for the first time in 8 centuries. Sarah was tall, over 6 feet, built strong from military conditioning. Her armor was black and gray, practical and brutal. Her rifle was aimed at them. "You're human," one of them whispered. "Yes," Sarah said. Her voice was calm, steady. "You're on my ship. You walked past my crew. You tried to steal from us. You made a mistake." "We didn't know," Thelvan said, stepping forward. He raised his hands. "We thought the ship was abandoned. We meant no disrespect to the dead." "You meant to profit from them," Sarah corrected. "You cut into their home. Their grave." She gestured with her rifle toward the door. "Leave your equipment. Go to airlock 3. You have 5 minutes, and if we refuse?" One of the younger Vaxil asked, trying to sound brave. Sarah's expression didn't change. "Then you don't leave." Something in her voice made them believe her. The Vaxil dropped their tools and started moving toward the door. Sarah stepped aside, letting them pass. They moved quickly, grateful to be alive, all except Thelvan. He paused at the door. "Why let us go? Your AI could have killed us all." Sarah looked at him. "Because you're not my enemy. You're just someone who made a bad choice. But I want you to deliver a message." "What message?" "Tell your people what you found here. Tell them humanity isn't extinct. Tell them we're coming back. And tell them that anyone who tries to stop us will learn why the old galaxy feared human warships." Thelvan nodded slowly. "The galaxy has changed. We're peaceful now. There hasn't been a real war in 300 years. Sarah smiled, but her eyes were cold. 300 years. That's good. You're out of practice then. We're not. The Vaxil left. Sarah escorted them through the ship, Guardian opening doors ahead of them. They passed the cryo bay. Some of the Vaxil looked at the thousands of pods, finally understanding what they'd walked into. This wasn't just a ship. It was a cemetery. At the airlock, Sarah watched them return to their mining vessel. She kept her rifle ready until they were all across. Then she closed the airlock and sealed it. Guardian, are they all off our ship? Confirmed, Captain. All Vaxil have departed. Their vessel is powering up, scanning. They are attempting to charge weapons. Sarah walked to the nearest console and pulled up tactical displays. The mining ship was targeting the righteous fury. Of course they were. They were scared, and scared people did stupid things. Can they hurt us? She asked. Negative. Their weapons are designed for asteroid mining. Our armor will not be affected. Let them shoot. Don't return fire. I want them to go home and tell people what they saw. The mining ship fired. Small laser cutters splashed harmlessly against the righteous fury's hull. The beams couldn't even scratch the armor plating. After a minute, they stopped. Sarah opened a communications channel. Commander Thelvan, are you done? His voice came back, shaky. What are you? I'm Captain Sarah Chen of the United Nations Space Force. I'm a soldier from a dead Earth, and I just woke up in a galaxy that forgot about us. Now go home. Tell your leaders. Tell your military. Tell everyone. Humanity is back, and we have questions that need answers. She cut the channel. The mining ship's engines flared, and it ran. Sarah watched it disappear into the nebula. Guardian spoke quietly. Captain was that wise. They will report our position. Sarah leaned against the console, suddenly feeling the weight of 800 years. Good, let them come. I need to know what happened to Earth. I need to know what happened to our people. And if anyone knows, it's whoever's in charge now. We are heavily outnumbered. The Vaxil Concordat has thousands of ships. Guardian, we held a battle line against worse odds before. We held it for 2 weeks while the colonies escaped. You remember? I remember, Captain. We lost everyone. But the colonies made it, Sarah said firmly. We won, and we'll keep winning until I find out what happened to home. She pulled up the ship's status displays. The Righteous Fury was damaged but functional. Weapons were operational. Engines worked. Life support was stable. The ship that had drifted dead for 800 years was alive again. Set course for the edge of Vaxil space, Sarah ordered. I need to access their networks. I need information. And Guardian? Yes, Captain? Start looking for any sign of other human ships. If we survived, maybe others did too. Understood? Captain, may I ask a question? Go ahead. What if we are truly alone? What if we are the last? Sarah looked at the stars on the view screen. Somewhere out there was Earth, or what was left of it. Somewhere were the answers. Then we'll be enough. One ship, one captain, one AI. If that's all humanity has left, then we'll make it count. The Righteous Fury's engines ignited for the first time in centuries, and the warship began to move through the stars. The signal spread like fire across the galaxy. Every monitoring station in Vaxil space detected it. A reactor signature that shouldn't exist anymore. A fusion core design that was 800 years old. The humans were supposed to be extinct. High Admiral Venkra of the Vaxil Defense Fleet received the report in his office on the homeworld. He read it 3 times, not believing his eyes. Confirmed? He asked his aide. Yes, Admiral. The mining ship that escaped transmitted full sensor logs. It's a human warship. Designation UNSF Righteous Fury. And there's a survivor. A human captain. Venkra felt something he hadn't felt in his 30 years of service. Fear. Not for himself, but for the careful peace the galaxy had built. 1 human? 1 confirmed. But Admiral, she killed 68 of our people. In minutes. The ship's AI is fully functional. The vessel is heavily armed. Our analysts say it's a Dreadnought-class warship from Earth's final war. Venkra pulled up historical files. Humans. The species the Concordat had worked so hard to forget. The files were full of warnings. Humans didn't negotiate like other species. They didn't follow normal rules. They fought wars differently, with a brutality that shocked the civilized galaxy. And they were protective, almost violently so, of weaker species. That's what had scared the old powers. Not that humans were aggressive, but that they would fight anyone if they thought innocents were threatened. They made enemies constantly by interfering in conflicts that weren't their business. Send a fleet, Venkra ordered. 40 ships are best. But tell the commanders to attempt communication first. If we can contain this peacefully. Admiral, the human already sent a message. She said humanity isn't extinct. She said she wants answers about Earth. Venkra's blood went cold. About Earth? Does she know? Unknown. But if she starts investigating, the aide didn't finish. He didn't need to. Send the fleet. Now. On the Righteous Fury, Sarah was learning about the new galaxy. Guardian had hacked into the Vaxil networks. It wasn't even hard. Their security was designed to keep out civilians. Not military-grade AI from a more paranoid era. The information poured in. Maps, history, news. And the more Sarah read, the angrier she became. Earth was gone. The entire Sol system was surrounded by warning buoys. No entry, no explanation. Just threats of violence against anyone who tried to cross the perimeter. And the galaxy accepted it. They just agreed not to ask questions. Guardian, who controls the Sol perimeter? Multiple species maintain it jointly. The Vaxil, the Korleth, the Sendari. All founding members of the Concordat. They established the quarantine 847 years ago. The same year Sarah went into cryosleep. The same year the colonies fled. That wasn't a coincidence. What's the official reason? She asked. Biological contamination. The records state that Earth suffered a plague. Humanity died out. The system was sealed to prevent spread. Sarah pulled up images of the buoys. They were heavily armed. Military-grade weapons pointed inward at Earth and outward at anyone approaching. This wasn't a quarantine. This was a prison. They're lying, she said. A plague doesn't need that much firepower. Guardian was silent for a moment. Captain, I have found something else. References to human colony ships. 7 are listed in historical records. All failed within 100 years of Earth's fall. The records cite various disasters. Equipment failure. Navigation errors, disease. 7 colony ships. Sarah knew better. The UNSF had sent out over 70 ships, all under different cover identities. They'd learned from history. Never put all your eggs in one basket. Show me the locations of the 7 failed colonies. Guardian displayed a map. The 7 colonies were spread across the galaxy, all in visible, easy-to-find locations. Sarah understood immediately. They were decoys. The 7 ships they were meant to find while the real colonies hid. Guardian, the real colonies wouldn't have advertised their locations. They would have gone dark, silent running, hidden in deep space or difficult locations. Agreed, Captain. However, after 800 years, their reactor signatures would be detectable if they are still functional. Then we look for places where reactor signatures shouldn't be. Dead zones. Empty regions. Nebulae like where we were hiding. Sarah started marking locations on the map, places where colonies could hide. As she worked, alarms sounded. Guardian spoke urgently. Captain, multiple contacts jumping into the system. 40 vessels. Vaxil military configuration. They are surrounding us. Sarah pulled up tactical displays. 40 ships in a perfect formation. Weapons charged but not firing. She opened communications. Vaxil fleet, this is Captain Chen. State your intentions. A voice responded, older and calmer than Commander Thelvan. Captain Chen, I am High Admiral Venkra. We do not wish conflict. Please allow us to board peacefully. We have questions, and I believe you do as well. We can help each other. Sarah laughed bitterly. Help each other? Admiral, your people sealed off Earth. You declared my species extinct. You tried to salvage my ship like it was trash. Why would I trust you? Because you want answers, Venkra said simply. About Earth, about what happened. I can provide those answers, but not over an open channel. Allow me to come aboard alone, unarmed, as a gesture of good faith. Sarah considered it. It could be a trap. But she had Guardian. And the Righteous Fury's weapons were pointed at all 40 ships. One admiral wouldn't be hard to control. One shuttle. One person. Any tricks and your fleet burns. Understood? Understood, Captain. 30 minutes later, Sarah watched High Admiral Venkra walk through her airlock. He was old for a Vaxil, his skin more gray than blue. He moved carefully, hands visible and empty. His eyes widened when he saw her. You're really human, he whispered. Disappointed? Sarah asked coldly. No, terrified. He looked around the ship's corridors. I've studied human history. I know what your species was capable of. And now you're here, alone in a galaxy that thought you were gone forever. Sarah led him to the bridge. She kept her rifle close but didn't point it at him. Guardian watched through every camera. Venkra looked at the tactical displays, the weapon systems, the cryobay readings showing thousands of dead crew. He looked sad. I'm sorry, he said finally. For your crew. For what happened. Tell me what happened, Sarah demanded. Tell me why Earth is sealed. Tell me why my species is supposedly extinct. Venkra sat down slowly. He looked tired. What I tell you will start a war. There's already a war, Admiral. Someone killed Earth. Someone tried to kill all my people. I'm just the first one to wake up and ask why. The Admiral looked at her for a long moment, then nodded. 850 years ago, the galactic powers were afraid. Humanity had gone from primitive to spacefaring in less than 200 years. You were aggressive, unpredictable, and worst of all, you wouldn't stay out of other species' business. You kept fighting for weaker species, interfering in conflicts, breaking trade agreements to help refugees. So you killed us for being good neighbors? Sarah's voice was ice. The elder species decided humanity was too dangerous to exist. They engineered a biological weapon, released it on Earth. The plan was quick extermination. But your government suspected something. They sent out colony ships, many more than we knew about. The 7 we found were decoys. Sarah's hands tightened on her rifle. You committed genocide. My species did not participate, Venkra said quickly. We were not part of the Concordat then. We learned of this years later when we joined. The species responsible tried to hide what they did. They sealed Earth to cover their crime. Which species? Sarah asked quietly, dangerously. The Korleth, the Sendari. 3 others that are now extinct, destroyed by wars of their own making. He looked at her. But Captain, that was 8 centuries ago. Everyone involved is dead. The galaxy has changed. We're peaceful now. Peaceful, Sarah repeated. You built peace on my species' grave. You just forgot to make sure we were all dead first. She pulled up the star maps showing the locations she'd marked. My people are out there, Admiral. 70 colonies. Maybe more. Hidden, waiting, growing, and I'm going to find them. Venkra looked at the map and went pale. 70? Captain, if 70 human colonies have been growing for 800 years, then we're not extinct, Sarah finished. We're everywhere. We're numerous. And we're going to want explanations. She leaned close to him. Tell your concordate. Tell the Korleth and Sendari. Humanity remembers everything, and we're coming home. Sarah let Admiral Venkra return to his fleet. She watched his shuttle disappear into the flagship, knowing he would report everything. Good. She wanted them scared. She wanted them to understand what they'd done. Guardian, plot a course to the first likely colony location. The Helix Nebula. It's dense enough to hide a colony ship, and far enough from trade routes that they could grow undetected. Course plotted, Captain. However, I must inform you that the Vaxil fleet is following us. They are maintaining distance but clearly tracking our movements. Sarah looked at the tactical display showing 40 ships keeping pace with the righteous fury. Let them watch. They're curious now, scared, wondering if I'm really alone or if there's an entire human fleet waiting out there. Are we truly searching for colonies, Captain, or are we? Yes, we're searching, but we're also testing them. I want to see how far the Concordate will let me go before they try to stop me. The righteous fury jumped to faster-than-light travel. The journey would take 3 days. Sarah used the time to explore her ship more thoroughly. She walked through crew quarters that still had personal items scattered around. A child's drawing on one wall. A chess game left unfinished. A book with a bookmark still in place. Each room was a ghost story. Each personal item was a life ended 800 years ago. On the second day, Guardian spoke quietly. Captain, I have been analyzing historical communications I retrieved from Vaxil networks. I have found something significant. Sarah looked up from the engineering report she'd been reading. Show me. Guardian displayed a series of intercepted messages from 800 years ago. They were encoded, but Guardian had broken the encryption. Sarah read them, her blood turning cold with each line. The messages were between Korleth and Sendari military commands. They discussed the biological weapon, the timing, the targets, but there was more. They discussed contingency plans if the weapon failed. If humans survived, the messages mentioned the colony ships, not 770 they'd known. They'd hunted down as many as they could find. The 7 failed colonies weren't accidents. They were murdered, but the messages also revealed failure. The hunters couldn't find most of the colonies. The humans had scattered too well, hidden too deep. After 50 years, the elder species gave up. They declared humanity extinct and moved on. They tried to kill us twice, Sarah whispered, and they think they succeeded. Captain, there is more. I have detected a signal. Very faint. It is using an old UNSF encryption code. Someone is broadcasting. Sarah's heart jumped. Where? The Helix Nebula. Our destination. Captain, someone is alive out there. Someone is waiting. The righteous fury dropped out of FTL at the edge of the nebula. The Vaxil fleet emerged seconds later, still following. Sarah ignored them. All her attention was on the signal Guardian had detected. Boost power to communications. Send the old recognition codes, Guardian transmitted. They waited. Seconds felt like hours. Then a response came through, strong and clear. UNSF vessel, this is colony ship Endurance. Authentication accepted. Welcome home, righteous fury. We've been waiting for you. Sarah felt tears on her face. She wasn't alone. Endurance, this is Captain Sarah Chen. Request permission to dock. Permission granted, Captain, and thank you for waking up. We've been watching for a rescue ship for 800 years. The nebula's gas clouds parted as the Endurance's beacon activated. Sarah saw it emerge from hiding. It wasn't one ship. It was dozens. Colony ships, mining vessels, construction platforms. An entire fleet, and around them, built into asteroids and floating in space, were structures. Habitats, stations, cities. How many people? Sarah asked quietly. The response came back. Current population, 234 million. We've been busy, Captain. 234 million humans, from one colony ship. If this was just one of the hidden colonies and there were 70 colonies, Sarah did the math. The galaxy thought humanity was extinct. Instead, they might number in the billions. Guardian, she said slowly, connect me to the Endurance's AI. I need to know if they've been in contact with other colonies. The connection established. The Endurance's AI called itself Sentinel. Its voice was similar to Guardian's, cold and mechanical, but with hints of personality. Captain Chen, we have maintained passive listening posts for centuries. We are in contact with 47 other colony networks. The others remain dark, either by choice or misfortune. 47 colonies. Billions of humans. All hidden, all waiting. Sentinel, why didn't you reveal yourselves? Why stay hidden? Our orders, Captain. The original colony directive was clear. Hide, grow, wait for the signal. Wait for the warships to come back and tell us it was safe. The AI paused. You're the signal, Captain Chen. You're the first warship to wake up. The first to come home. Sarah sat in her command chair, the weight of it all crushing down on her. She wasn't just one captain anymore. She was the bearer of news that would change the galaxy. She was the spark that would light a fire. Guardian scanned for other warships. If the righteous fury survived, others might have too. Guardian worked silently for several minutes. Then, Captain, I am detecting 43 reactor signatures matching UNSF military vessels. All dormant. All scattered throughout the galaxy. They are waiting just like we were, waiting for a wake-up signal. Sarah understood. The colonies had been told to wait for the warships. The warships had been programmed to wait for a captain's authentication. Everything was designed to stay hidden until someone woke up first and confirmed it was time. She was that someone. Guardian, are you networked with other military AIs? Yes, Captain. All UNSF vessels have a quantum-linked network. It has been dormant, but I can reactivate it with your command authorization. Sarah took a deep breath. Behind her ship, the Vaxil fleet watched and waited. They thought they were following one human, one old warship. They had no idea what was about to happen. She thought of her crew, Jenkins, Rodriguez, Kim, all the others who died buying time for humanity to survive. They'd won. Their sacrifice had worked, and now it was time to finish what they started. Guardian, open a channel to all UNSF vessels. Use my command authorization. Send the wake-up signal. Captain, this will reveal the location of all hidden human assets. Every colony, every warship, every outpost. The galaxy will know we survived. Good, Sarah said firmly. Let them know. Send the signal. Guardian transmitted. The quantum network lit up like a web across the galaxy. In hidden nebulae and asteroid fields in dark corners of space, human warships began to wake. AIs that had slept for centuries activated. Cryopods started revival sequences for skeleton crews, and on 47 colony worlds, billions of humans received the same message. This is Captain Sarah Chen, UNSF Righteous Fury. The wait is over. Humanity is no longer hiding. Prepare for emergence. On the Vaxil flagship, alarms screamed. Admiral Venkra watched his screens in horror as reactor signatures appeared across the galaxy. Hundreds of them, thousands, ships, stations, colonies, all coming online at once. Get me the Concorded Council, he said quietly. Tell them we have a problem. Tell them humanity isn't extinct. Tell them. Tell them we have a lot to answer for. Sarah opened a channel to the Endurance. This is Captain Chen. Begin emergence protocols. Contact the other colonies. It's time to come home. It's time to take back what was stolen from us. She pulled up a display of Earth still sealed behind its warning buoys. And someone needs to explain why our homeworld is in a cage. Guardian, set course for Sol. Captain, that will start a war. Sarah looked at the stars, at the 43 warships waking up, at the 47 colonies preparing to reveal themselves, at billions of humans who had been hiding in the dark for 800 years waiting for this moment. Then let there be war, she said quietly. We've been dead long enough. Time to remind the galaxy who we are. Behind the righteous fury, the Vaxil fleet began to retreat. They'd come to contain one human. Instead, they'd witnessed the awakening of an entire species. A species that had been thought extinct. A species that had every reason to be angry. As Sarah watched them run, she allowed herself a small smile. The galaxy had tried to kill humanity. They'd failed, and now they would learn the price of that failure. Humanity wasn't just coming back. Humanity was coming home. And heaven help anyone who stood in their way. The age of hiding was over. The age of humanity had begun. And across 1,000 worlds and 1,000,000 ships, billions of voices spoke as one. We remember. We survive. We return.